It's the Pesto Pod, the Pesto Pod, the Pesto Pod.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Pesto Pod. How's everybody doing? Is everyone good? Everyone's vibes good? Everyone's chakras aligned? Good, great. This week was all right for me. It was pretty average, pretty tolerable. My pro of the week is that I went to visit Bestie Emily. She lives in Long Island now. So I went to visit her, and I went with Bestie Sarah, and the three of us did an escape room. Oh, do I love an escape room. Something about it just is programmed directly into my occipital lobe. I love it. I love solving little puzzles and shit like that. It was so fun. Now, there's a couple things that can make or break an escape room, and I'm going to get into it. For me, something that is important is theme. Okay? I'm a slut for a theme. I really am. If I'm ever throwing a party, it's got an incredible theme. I threw one party in college with my a cappella friends. I don't want to hear it. And the theme was creatures of the deep. And I was like, let me make myself clear. If anyone shows up in a bikini or like as a little mermaid, you're donezo. You're out of the party. Creatures of the deep. I want anglerfish. I want oarfish. I want giant squid. I want Greenland sharks. And I want commitment to the goddamn bit. What was I, you ask? What was I dressed up as? I dressed up as saltwater. I will not go into the details of my costume, and I'll leave that to your imagination. But please keep in mind that I ate, obviously. I love an escape room with a theme. I love, I've done like haunted library before. I've done pirate ship treasure. This one, well, you know what? I'll wait to tell you what this theme was because it was good. Another thing about an escape room that I like is I like when clues are hidden in things. I like when objects are not what they seem. I like when there's like a picture on the wall and you have to take the picture off the wall and take apart the frame and there's a key in the frame. Like something like that. I love cracking the case. And you know what else I love? I love when there's multiple rooms to an escape room. Because obviously, we all know that the basic premise of the escape room is you're locked in a room. There's a bunch of clues and keys, as I was going to say. Clues and keys around, and you got to like solve all these clues to get, the combos to these locks, and eventually something is going to lead you to a key to get out of the room. But sometimes you do all this work, you open the door, it leads to a whole fucking different room. I love that. And hopefully that room is even more sinister and scary. That is so much fun for me. What else do I love about an escape room? Well, I'll tell you what I don't love. I don't love when they're like either way too hard or way too easy. It's hard to find that middle ground. I've been in some where I'm like, this is ludicrous, and I've had to phone for help, which is a rookie mistake. But sometimes I'm like, what do these people think? Do these people think I'm Albert Einstein? Stephen Hawking? Fucking Isaac Newton? No, I'm a kid from the swamp. Like, I don't know how to solve these puzzles, but then sometimes they're too easy. For example, the one we did this week was, we had 15 minutes left, which I don't think it was necessarily too easy. It was just not long enough. Like, they should have had a few more puzzles we had to get through. But sometimes I'm breezing through. And I'm like, this is what I paid my hard-earned money for? And that's the thing. They're overpriced. I'm going to say that right now. Escape rooms, I've seen some for like $50. For what? An hour of being locked in a room with a fucking minimum wage jackass employee? Like, I'm not doing that. So when I suggested we do an escape room when we were in Long Island, my friends were like, no, I don't want to waste my money on an escape room. And I was like, valid, totally valid. Heard, seen, understood. Then I saw the theme of this escape room, and it was Harry Potter themed. And I was like, hey guys, this escape room is Harry Potter themed. And they were like, sign us up. Now, let me preface, I did not grow up with Harry Potter. I know that shocks a lot of people. I know people like hear me talk and see me and they're like, that girl has a Wattpad with Harry Potter fan fiction. Not the case. I did not grow up with it at all. I read the first like 2 or 3 books when I was an adult, and I've seen the movies, but not since like I was a fully developed adult. So never was a Harry Potter child, but I have mad respect for Harry Potter. I completely understand it. Like, I understand if I was a little kid and I was exposed to Harry Potter, I just know I would be in line at Universal Studios with a butterbeer and a wand ready to like rock my shit on the Quidditch course or whatever. Like, I just know. I just wasn't exposed to it. Like, my parents never showed me Harry Potter. I don't know what to tell you. And I never discovered it on my own. I mean, I knew it existed, but I just was never a Harry Potter kid. I never was. Nothing but mad respect. And I have done the Sorting Hat quiz, and they say I'm a Slytherin. And because I'm also a Gemini, I feel like that fits. But that's the extent of my knowledge, truthfully. But then, yeah, we did the escape room Harry Potter themed. And I was like, okay, this is so cool. If I was a Harry Potter lover, I'd be nutting right now. And when I was in Scotland a few years ago, I went to the Harry Potter graveyard. There's like a graveyard in Scotland that apparently J.K. Rowling, whether she's canceled or not, this is fact, went to the graveyard and like stole names from the headstones to use as characters in the book, or like they inspired characters in the book. So there's like a Tom Riddle buried at this graveyard. There's a Professor McGonagall, whatever. I went because I found it cool. I said, I have mad respect for this lore, for this community. You know, I'm an ally, a Harry Potter ally. So we did the escape room. It was so fun. I don't want to give too much away because like someone might know somehow what escape room it is and I don't want to spoil it. But hold on. I still have a lot of phlegm. But I will say this. At the very end, there's like a statue of Voldemort in the corner, right? And we had unlocked a treasure chest, and in the treasure chest was a wand. And we're trying to figure out what we're supposed to do to like get our final clue. We're like, is there like a button we're supposed to press with the wand? Does the wand come apart? We're like, is there somewhere on the Voldemort statue that I'm supposed to like insert the wand? Like, should I be sticking this wand up his ass right now? Like, what's the... And I, as a joke, as a jape, as a bit, as a jest, was like waving the wand around, and I went, because I've, seen the prophecy, and it worked. The statue lights up, and he's like, oh, no, the death spell. And I was like, that was the key? I had to cast a spell on this motherfucker? I was just doing it for the bit. I was like waving it around, and then it worked. He died. I cast a spell. I didn't even mean to. That was so fun for me. So I guess the moral of that is if you're ever trapped in a room, try, casting a spell, cursing death upon your enemies. I don't know. That was the pro of my week, though. I had a great time in the Harry Potter escape room. The con of my week... was that I went to a Pilates class. Guess what does not sit well with me? Pilates. I see all these girly pops on my TikTok For You page that do Pilates, and they have tiny little waists and they're little princess girlies, and they're like, Pilates changed my life. And so I've always wanted to try it. But Pilates studios can be very, very expensive, and I already belong to a gym, but it's like a very simple, like no frills, low-key kind of raggedy gym near my apartment. So I was, whatever, I'm not going to take Pilates. I do, however, they have classes. They have a dance class that I go to every single week. Do not even think that I'm missing dance class for a minute. I fucking love dance class. It's all these old women. The median age of my dance class is probably 50, and that's being really generous. It's old women, me. The instructor is this little tiny old gay man, and he just sits there and he shouts out the moves, and it like really scratches an itch in my musical theater soul. It like, because he'll be like, kickball change, left, right, kickball change, lift those knees and pivot and slap your ass and grapevine 2, 3, 4. Like, I come alive. It awakens something. I love it. And I break a sweat, and I have little friends in the class. Like, it is the highlight of my week, my dance class. So imagine my surprise when I go on. I'm like, I wonder if they offer any other classes, like any other day of the week that I think I would enjoy as much as I like dance. And I saw that they have a mat Pilates class. And I was like, oh, I was thinking of doing Pilates. I'm going to give it a shot ski. I sign up. I go, holy shit, it's the worst. It was the worst experience of my entire life. And let me tell you, the moves, they were like hard, and I was sweating, schwitzing, and I was gasping for air. That was not the worst part by far. The worst part was the instructor. It was the bitchiest, rudest, horriblest, terrifyingest woman that I've ever met who as the instructor. She was so mean and scary. We walk in, it's dead silent. My dance class, we're all chatting. How was your weekend? How's your husband? How are your kids? I'm like, did anyone catch the Grammys? Like, I'm just like fucking shitting around. This Pilates class though, dead silent. If there was a fly in there, I could have heard it buzzing around. And like, we get our mats, and I see that everyone has a mat and a towel. And I've never been to the Pilates class, so I've never needed a towel. And I was like, go to the person next to me. Excuse me, where'd you get your towel? The instructor is like, no talking. What the fuck? Why am I being disciplined at Pilates? And then we're doing the moves. She's yelling at us. She's like, hands on the mat. And then she looks at someone. Did I say hands on the floor? I said hands on the mat. And then like, okay, we're in the position. You're supposed to have your head tucked down, like chin to your chest. But like me and other people, it wasn't just me, would look up to glance around to make sure I'm doing it right. Like, I've never done Pilates before. I just want to make sure I'm in the right position. So I like glance around, and she's like, did I say untuck your head? And I'm like, like I felt like I was being yelled at school. It was crazy. At one point, we like all did a move, and she looks around, and then we go back to like resting position, and she goes, so I saw 2 people doing that move correctly. Does anyone want to tell me why that is? She was so mean. I felt ridiculed. I felt just like, listen, when I was in 4th grade, we were learning about Vikings, like the history of Vikings. And Miss Frank, my 4th grade teacher, said, we're going to learn about Leif Erikson today. Has anyone here heard of Leif Erikson? And I raised my hand. Yes, I have. And she said, where have you heard about Leif Erikson, Julia? And I said, on SpongeBob. Because there's an episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob says, Happy Leif Erikson Day. Yingy dingy durgan. And so I raised my hand, and she went, that is so disrespectful, and you are making a mockery of my class, and I don't like class clowns and jokes and lies. And I was like, I'm not lying, bitch. Leif Erikson is on SpongeBob. Go look up the episode right now. I probably could tell you the title of the episode off the top of my head. And she was like, in the hall now. And she kicked me out of class. My 10-year-old ass. Sorry, I was literally making a connection between my education and my media consumption. Sorry, I'm 10 years old and I'm relating something that I'm learning about to something I've already heard about in pop culture. Sorry. And if I ever see Miss Frank in real life, wherever that fucking bitch is, I'm going to tell her exactly how I feel, exactly how she shamed me, and then I'm going to kick her in the shin. And that's exactly how I felt in this Pilates class. Sorry, that rant really riled up my phlegm. Anywho, so yeah, I'm anti-Pilates. But speaking of media consumption, childhood, and ocean, ? Today I want to talk about mermaids. Did you like that segue? That was off the top of my dome, by the way. Mermaids. So I was a huge fan of mermaids as a child. I had a mermaid-themed bedroom, lots of mermaid decor, loved the ocean, loved the beach, big swimmer. I did have a mermaid tail. It was $100. I made my parents buy it for my birthday. It was like a monofin with like a spandex cover. I fucking killed it. I was dolphin kicking my way all around the tri-state. But I made an Instagram, I made a TikTok video talking about how I love mermaids as a kid. And I read books about mermaids. There was an Animal Planet documentary in the early 2000s. Look it up. Where they were like, are mermaids real? And like my little ass was like, are they? And so I watched it, and it was like, some people have said they've seen mermaids. And I was like, gagged. But I made a TikTok being like, anyone else obsessed with mermaids when they were kids? And a lot of people shared my sentiments. And it inspired me to rewatch a classic from my childhood. Something that really sowed the soil. Wait, tilled the soil, sowed the garden, the seed, the whatever of my childhood. And that is the show H2O, Just Add Water. H2O was an Australian kids TV show. It followed these 3 high school girls who one day become mermaids, and anytime they touch water, they turn back into a mermaid. And then when they're dry, they're girls. And so they're navigating teen life and the ups and downs of teenagerism whilst also being fish creatures. And they have special powers. So there's 3 of them. It's Cleor. Cleo is like nerdy, awkward, kind of weird, shy. And her power is she can move water. So she can like create bubbles, create currents, whatever. Then we got Emma. And her power is that she can freeze things, freeze water. Her like character is like she's kind of like an overachiever, bossy, kiss ass, right? Then we got Ricky. She was like the rebel. She was cool. She didn't pay attention in school, and she listened to rock music and questioned authority. And her power was she could heat up water and and melt things and stuff. Those are the 3 main girls. Recurring characters. Well, okay, so they live on the coast of Australia, and then there's this deserted island off of their town, conveniently. It's called Mako Island, and there's a volcano on Mako Island, and then one day they stumble into a cave. I get worked up talking about this. They stumble into a cave in the middle of Mako Island where there is a pool of water that I can't explain it, but it looks so delicious. Like, I know the water from that pool tastes like Fiji mineral delicious water that I want to shove in my gullet. And it was so like I want to go to there watching the moon pool. Yeah, they got the moon pool. They jump in the moon pool right when a full moon is coming over the top of the volcano at Mako Island, and then boom, some magic happens and they become mermaids. That's their origin story. And those are the 3 main girls. The recurring characters, we got Lewis. Lewis is this like dorky little science nerd who's friends with Cleor and has some romantic tension with Cleo, and he like helps the girls and like, you know, wants to get to the bottom of why they're mermaids, and he's like, science is more important than magic, and they're like, naur. And then we got Zane. Now Zane's a complex, complicated, combobulated character. Zane starts really bad. He's a spoiled rich brat. He gets what he wants, whatever. And then he has some romantic, dare I say, sexual tension with Ricky. And then he kind of becomes a good guy. Season 2, Zane, chef's kiss. He's like a good guy, helps the cause. And then season 3, he kind of goes back into his villain era and like low-key cheats on Ricky. It's a whole scam. Who else is recurring? Oh, then we have season 3. The actress who plays Emma leaves the show. So then we get Bella. And Bella takes Emma's spot in like the group of 3 girls. Just like fucking takes over. Doesn't really have much of a personality. She sings in a band, I guess. That's her whole thing. And her special power is that she can turn water into jelly. Oh, that sounds really useful. That'll really get us out of a bind. If anyone has a flan emergency, she can just whip out her magic powers. Stupid. And then we also have Will. He comes in season 3. He is Bella's love interest. He doesn't really have much of a personality either. He's a free diver. So he like loves swimming in the ocean and diving in the reef and whatever. So him and Bella kind of fall in love. And he's really hot. He has some great arms. And that's all of Will's personality. Now, we've got 3 different villains for 3 different seasons of H2O. Season 1, our villain is Dr. Denman. She's this hot, sexy, blonde, bombshell marine biologist. And she kind of is suspicious about the existence of mermaids. She uses Lewis. She seduces him with her feminine wiles. With the promise of like scientific greatness and achievement. for the purpose of getting closer to the girls because she's like, something's up with these girls. And then she uses Zane because Zane thinks that mermaids exist, and she's like, I will help you find out if mermaids exist if you fund all my research, because Zane has all this money. So then Zane and Dr. Denman team up, but then he realizes that, mermaids do exist, and one of the mermaids is this girl Ricky, who I'm kind of attracted to, and then he kind of becomes good and he frees them, and then that's a whole thing. Then we get into season 2. We have a new character. Her name is Charlotte, number 1 op. Charlotte is this fugly, icky, stupid girl who comes in out of nowhere, and she discovers that her grandmother used to be a mermaid. So she's like, I should be a mermaid. So she becomes a mermaid with all 3 of the special powers. And then she becomes a mega bitch. She steals Lewis away from Cleo. She starts dating Lewis, and she's like using Lewis to manipulate. Oh, it's a whole shebang. She turns against the girls because she thinks she's better than them, and there's like a whole battle, but they end up defeating her, and Lewis breaks up with her and gets back together with Cleo. Delicious. Then we got season 3, worst season for sure. The series is taking a nosedive into the dumpster. The villain in that season is Sophie. Sophie is Will's sister, and her personality is just bitch McGee. She wants to just make a lot of money and be famous, and wants everyone to be obsessed with her, and wants to boss people around. So she sucks. And she ends up seducing Zane to turn against Ricky. So now that you've got a little bit of the background. So I was rewatching H2O, and I was like, this is the most amazing show to ever exist. But now that I'm an adult, I do have some issues, some queries to make about some plot holes and inconsistencies within the show. Such as, you're telling me these 3 girls, they turn into mermaids if they touch water. Okay, they live on a coastal town. The whole series takes place on like docks and piers and boats. You're telling me they're not coming in contact with a droplet of agua? And one of them, Cleo, she works at the marine park as a dolphin trainer. Hilar? You're saying she's not getting wet? Like, that's foolish and preposterous. Also, how do they wash their hands? You're telling me that they wash their hands and become mermaids on the floor of the public bathroom that they're in? Or you're telling me that they're not washing their hands? They're pissing and shitting and not washing their hands? Gross. Also, why couldn't they tell their parents? Like, their whole thing about not telling anyone that they were mermaids is like, they were scared they were going to be put in a museum or experimented on, and they didn't want that. Okay, their parents obviously don't want that for them either. Why would they not tell their parents are going to lock them up, send them off? No, the parents are going to help. I don't know why they're like, the whole series, like so much of the plot is like, I can't keep lying to mom and dad. I can't go on vacation because I'm going to turn into a mermaid. Like, tell them. Tell them. And another plot hole I had with H2O is objects in pockets. So they jump into the water fully clothed, become mermaids. What if they have something in their pocket? You know, their cell phone is in their pocket. Okay. It takes like 10 seconds for them to become a mermaid. So the cell phone would get wet and then would disappear into thin air? Question mark. And then when they're dry, they switch back to a human. Does the cell phone reappear in their pocket, and is it fully functional and dry? Or is it damaged because it got wet? Or did it not get wet? Does it still exist? That's another thing. Also, what about like spit, sweat, tears? Tears are water. You're telling me if they cry, they become mermaids? No, they don't. So what's up with that? That's inconsistent. What about pee? Anytime they pee, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I pee, like you got to wipe. It gets, it gets a little messy. So pee is touching their skin. How are they not? Pee is water. How are they not turning in it? What about cum? What if they get a cum shot to the face? Are they becoming mermaids? You're having sex with someone and all of a sudden you become a mermaid? Or, oh my God, how about, what if you're in the middle, picture this, you're actively having sex, a guy comes inside of you, you become a mermaid because the cum has touched you. Does his dick fuse with your tail? His dick's still in you. Does he become one? He fuses? Like, where's the line? So I have, I have some issues with the show, but I have just loved rewatching it. Season 1's the best. I love me an exposition. I love when the problem has just occurred. They are still figuring out, what does this mean? What are the rules? And they're trying to solve it. And season 1 is just so much more like, they're just trying to be normal teen girls, and, you know, they want to go to the big dance, but they're scared of becoming mermaids. Oh, and oh my God, I can't believe I forgot this. A whole nother level of shenanigan is that the full moon affects them too. If they look at the full moon, they become like crazy. There's one where Emma looks at the full moon, she becomes like low-key slutty and tries to like get with all these men, and also like wants to eat raw fish. She's like fingering sardines. It's crazy. And then there's another episode where Cleo looks at the moon and she becomes a siren and she can sing really well, and she starts seducing all these men and they follow her around. And then there's one where Ricky looks at the moon and she sets everything on fire. So now we got a whole nother added layer of trauma to this transformation. So that's a pain. But I enjoyed that in season 1. Season 2 is kind of like oddly satisfying. I don't think it's as good as season 1, but Charlotte is such a bitch that I love when she gets humbled. I love when bad things happen to her. And I don't know, season 2 Zane is like really delicious to me. That's when he's in his like good guy era, and there's like one scene where he doesn't know that Ricky's still a mermaid, and she gets water on her and she's like, "Help me." And he's like, "Go, get out of here. I'll save you." And it's pretty hot. I'm sure that when I was a kid and I watched that scene for the first time, I was like, "Ooh, what is this feeling?" Season 3 sucks. Season 3 is ass. I don't want Bella there. I want Claire Holt back in my presence. And it's too much of season 3 is like science. They're like, what does this mean? The rock of the moon pool is made out of moon rock, and there's water crystals in the rock, and they have magnetic attraction, and there's a comet from outer space. Like, too much data. Too much data. I just want to see like some juicy like maybe like a enemies to lovers burn, and I don't get any of that in season 3. So fuck that. Yeah. They did a spin-off of H2O called Mako Mermaids. I never watched it. I heard it was really bad, and I don't know, it kind of feels blasphemous. Like H2O was such like media gold. I could never turn my back on it like that. I was so obsessed with it when I was a kid, with the show. That's why I wanted the Mermaid Tales, because of H2O. And then my neighbor Abby, when I was a kid, she had a mermaid tail too, and she also had a pool. So I would go to Abby's all the time, and we'd play H2O. We'd be like walking, and then one of us would splash the other and be like, "Oh no!" And we'd jump into the water. "Quick, put on your mermaid tail." And it's like, "Oh no, we got to get to the moon pool to safety." And then Abby's pool had like a little waterfall, like a jet waterfall thing, and we're like, okay, obviously this area of the pool is the moon pool, and we would swim over to the waterfall and be like, "Oh, thank God we're safe in the moon pool on Mako, away from all the people seeing our tails." It was so fun. Life was so simple. And we had the matching necklaces from H2O, me and Abby. We had the matching crystals that they wear. It's like a little blue crystal, because we were mermaids. I miss those days. And I still love mermaids. Like I need to rewatch Aquamarine. I loved that when I was a kid too, but I haven't seen that in years, and I don't remember much. I just remember she has starfish earrings. She washes up in a pool. I remember that very vividly. And I remember her sleeping in the water tower. But I don't remember anything else. And now that I'm on this like mermaid resurgence, I really should watch that. And I mentioned this to my sister the other day. I really want to have a mermaid themed party, whether that's like a birthday party or like a bachelorette party. I want a mermaid theme. And I'm not talking like cartoony, like child mermaid, like let's celebrate. Not talking about that. I'm talking like subtle, pastel blue, iridescent shimmer. Maybe like a touch of a seashell or pearl motif. The dress code is flowy, ruffly, like sea nymph. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what I want. Although I have always said that I want my 25th birthday to be SpongeBob themed. Because there's only one thing funnier than 24. 25! Anyway. Thanks for tuning in to hear me talk about mythical aquatic legends. If you're in New York City on February 21st, make sure you're coming to my live show with Connor Willie. All of the details and the ticket links are in the link in my Instagram bio. So go check that out. And peace and blessings. Have a great week. And don't go near the water. Be careful out there. It's dangerous. Oh no. The condensation, Emma!